You are tuned into Your Voice, Your Power with Anika. Real lives, real stories, and real hope through transformational leadership. You have entered the safe zone, the safe space for creatives, executives, business owners, dreamers, and leaders of the new school, sharing tips, tools, and resources to thrive with authenticity as authorities on a global scale. Transformation is power, and so is your truth. Stay tuned for The Real Deal with Anika and her guests.
Good day, and welcome to Your Voice, Your Power. I am Anika Wilson, and today we are talking about the responsibility of leadership. I have with me three amazing guests from the East Coast. Actually, the East Coast is represented today on this panel, and you better get ready because we're talking about the responsibility of leadership. And if you are listening, you are responsible. So I want to first get into introductions. So we are going to start with Christine Howard coming to us from Buffalo, New York. Christine, tell listeners who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Christine E.B. Howard, founder and CEO of E.B. Howard Consulting, and we help our clients find, apply, and measure outcomes on non-dilutive grant funding.
Awesome sauce. All right, over to Dr. Latoya. Dr. Latoya, tell the world who you are and what you do.
Hello, I am Dr. Latoya Chevelle Waddell. I am, to basically sum it up in a quick snippet, I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and addictions counselor and trauma specialist. And we help our clients, one, in any aspect of their lives that they are struggling with any type of area of stress, any type of area of life changes. And then in addition to that, we also help our clients who are currently in the field and they're beginner counselors who are looking forward to increasing their skill set and working with other individuals in the field. And then on top of that, we also are helping individuals who are wanting to reframe their lives and reframe their professional life sets in order to be able to build their business and reevaluate what they're currently doing and build their business and grow it in a different aspect or way. So that's a simplified version.
All right, thank you, thank you. And over to Sheryl. Sheryl, tell the world who you are and what you do.
Hi, Sheryl Mays. I am a CEO and founder of Rise and Shine Consulting and Coaching Firm, also founder of Affirm Your Truth, the affirmation movement. My area of focus, though, is truly customer service. How do we bring our customers back? How do we create a culture of customer service where both internally as well as externally, everybody is operating in a manner that's going to bring those folks back, let them spend more, increase their frequency of spending, and communication, because communication is pivotal when it comes to your customers. How are you saying it? What are you saying? All very, very important. And so I love to work with companies that have one goal in mind, and that's to create a culture where customer service is first and foremost, allowing their business to be sustainable.
I love it. Sustainability is everything, and communication is key. So I'm going to go to you, Sheryl. How do you define leadership?
Leadership, it's interesting because I don't believe you have to have a title as a leader in order to be a leader. That would be first and foremost. Secondly, when I started my business, and I still have a business mentor, and we would talk about leadership all the time. And his definition of leadership is the one that I'm going to use because it just sums up everything. And it might be for you a riddle within an enigma, within a mystery, but here it is. The role of a leader is to get better, help others get better, and then get better at helping others get better. So if you break it down, what it boils down to is, as I continue to be more self-aware and I can grow, then I can help other individuals grow. And the more I help them grow, I also continue to grow. So it's that continuous process of everyone getting better. Everybody within our sphere has the ability of getting better as a leader if you're influential.
I love it. I love it. I love it because, first of all, it's fluid. And you hit on the key word of influence. And that is the misperception that everyone has. And the first thing you came out the gate with is title. Leadership does not involve a title. Women have been unassigned leaders for centuries. And as we stand here today, we are a powerful panel of women sitting here talking about leadership, holding leadership positions in various aspects. And I love everything that you said. I need the t-shirt, the plaque, and all of it. It is my new mantra. I am going to use otter and I'm going to plaster it somewhere in here. So thank you, Sheryl, for starting us with that, because that is it right there. And so I'm going to go over to Christine to tell us, what does bad leadership look like?
Well, not that. We'll start with that. It's not that. So bad leadership is, I mean, if you're thinking about it in terms of what Sheryl defined, it would be the opposite: stagnation, unwillingness to grow and evolve, unwilling to incorporate innovation, anything like that. There's an unwillingness to do that. And maybe there might also be not knowing, because you don't know what you don't know, and not knowing that you need to evolve or grow on something. So like maybe blind to it as well. And not willing to learn and grow from a situation, or knowing that you need to learn and grow from a situation and how it appears to your team, your employees, your colleagues. And you may have leaders above you, if you're thinking about hierarchy within typical corporate systems. They may not know, that it needs to happen either. Like you.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to go over to Dr. Latoya. What do leaders look like?
Honestly, I don't think leaders have a particular look. My son, my daughter, in my eyes, look like a leader. They do look like leaders to me. I'm guessing, I don't think the best way I could do is, do you want me to explain why?
Yeah, I asked you that question because actually in theory, leadership has a look. The great man theory goes all the way back to white male. It was even assigned back in the day, had to do with how you're born, what family you were born into and things of that nature. I asked that question, you gave a profound answer, because I actually have my children in my resume as the mother of 3 future leaders. And so it's ironic that you said that, because I've never told anybody that, but I think it's even in my LinkedIn description. The fact of the matter is anybody can be a leader. Anybody is a leader. Leadership is a mindset. And so I love that you gave that answer, because a lot of people are sitting at home, listening, driving in their cars right now, thinking that they're not a leader because they don't have that title that Sheryl just told us they don't need. And they feel like they're not influential. But if you're a mom, you're influential. If you're a business owner, you're influential. If you are an employee, you're influential. And so that's why I love that she said those things. So I'll go to you, Latoya. I'll give you an easier one, because I put you on the spot for that one.
No, that actually was not hard for me, to be honest. Like, it's so, everything beyond explaining that can flow right out of my mouth with why. It's actually an argument usually with other people of why I believe what I believe.
Facts.
add something to that. And it, when we think about the look, I always think about a leader's presence, right? Versus
I was
the
just going to
look
say
of
that.
a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what's the presence of a leader? Right. And that's why I think it can be anyone versus just being a title, because your presence is how you show up. Right? Your presence is how you make people feel. Your presence is how you speak to other people. That's all a part of that presence where people go, I want to be like that if I ever get the opportunity. And so I have to agree with Dr. Latoya. I don't think there's a look, but I think there's a presence.
And that's why I brought it up, because it literally used to be a look, and everybody has this perception that it isn't a look. And to your point, you just talked about presence, and that's where imposter syndrome comes in, because a lot of people lack the confidence. That look is confidence. That feel is confidence. And for a lot of entrepreneurs specifically, that's very hard. Once you become a business owner, you become a brand. You have to market yourself. You have to start negotiating. You have to be in rooms, and you have to argue, as Latoya said. You have to always argue your point and justify your position and your status. And so I love that all of y'all are talking about this, because that is the truth. And a lot of people, Sheryl, there's trainings on leader presence. There are trainings on imposter syndrome. There are trainings on executive presence. And that's exactly what we're talking about, is that for some people has to be learned, because culturally you're not taught that. And I know we're going to get on transformational leadership versus servant leadership, but I'm a business coach, and I spend a lot of time teaching women that, yes, you can be a servant leader, but we still have to charge for our services, and so all of these things definitely have to do with the responsibility of leadership. And so I want to ask, you talk about executive presence. What tips do you have, each of you, for executive presence for those who may struggle with that? Because Sheryl, that is part of communication. We communicate when we walk in the room before we even open our mouth. We communicate on Zoom. Y'all been in those Zoom rooms with people, and you get on and just like, what is happening? So what tips? We'll start with you, Christine. What tips do you have for people who may struggle with that?
I think the first thing is being present and showing up. It's, if there's a situation, whether good, bad, or indifferent, you still have to be present for it. It's not something to avoid. Not being present, I would say the first thing, be present, be available, be accessible. But that doesn't mean you're giving all your time and giving away things for free or anything like that. I'm thinking about like scenarios that business owners may run into, and they may want to avoid meetings, or they may want to avoid conversations. I say, don't. Be present. You don't have to address it or solve a problem or do or whatever it is in that particular situation, but you got to be present. You have to be, your presence has to be known. You can't lead by absence, I think, is probably the first thing to think about.
I like that, because avoidance is a thing for a lot of people, and a lot of things don't transpire because of that avoidance and that insecurity. Latoya, tips that you may have for that?
I feel like it kind of goes on actually what we've already been kind of communicating, and even with the word presence and the word where Sheryl talks about communication. And I'm a big firm believer of definitions and the power of what words mean. And so when I say, I have to say that first to say what I want to say. We need to see people. And in order for people to realize that we see them, we have to choose our words wisely. Because choosing the wrong word and identifying those who work with us or work around us or work side by side with us, however we choose to communicate with them, can diminish their spirit and make them think that we don't see them at all. And so one prime example is when I'm working with either whether it's a client, whether it's a supervisee, whether it's a student, the first thing I always tell them is, I want you to realize that we are collaborators. And the way I explain that to them is I say, I'm here to learn from you. I don't say you learn from me first. I never say that first. I say, I'm here to learn from you. And then I also would hope that you could learn from me. And then this is, an experience, like an interchangeable experience. And so then they realize, oh, like, she really is trying to see me first. And so I think that's what the influential piece is. It's like, okay, so, yeah, I want to follow her lead, because really she's going to say whatever she's seeing out of me or something like that. That's the feel that they get. At least that's the response that I get from those who I'm speaking with.
Okay. And Sheryl, what tips do you have for increasing executive presence and confidence in leaders?
One of the big traits for the leadership presence is your level of credibility, right? How credible are you in the eyes of others, right? And so under there's a litany, right, of sub traits under credibility, right? Are you reliable? Are you responsible? Are you are you looking at people in a manner where you can build them up and still being able to grow and formalize this human connection, right? So we have to think about the social engineering of the leader. What's the purpose of your role? Now, we can intimidate people and say, hey, this is what you need to do because this is your job, but it doesn't make the work worthwhile, right? If you want to make the work worthwhile, then help people understand that what they do is part of a much bigger picture. Now you have people that want to be in your presence because you're helping them to grow, you're helping them to develop, they're seeing you grow and develop. And so I think it has that opportunity of being credible to help you in your presence. So if you're not sure about your credibility level, right, then do a test. Do a test and ask people, right? Do you find me reliable? When I speak to you, am I speaking to empower you, or do you feel as though I'm disempowering you? Begin to ask questions so that you can be more self-aware. The more self-aware you are, the better position you are to make the shifts and the changes to be better.
Yeah, and increasing your emotional intelligence at that point. And that's what people don't get. Emotional intelligence is just about self-awareness and communication, being aware and alert of other people's feelings, how you're making people feel. And you all have literally just defined the responsibility of leadership, because Latoya talked about how they feel and them being influential. It's interdependent. And that's where, a lot of people associate leadership with power. It's not power. It's not power. And you said people wanting to work towards that common goal. Yes, you can threaten them all day long. You're not going to get the same outcomes.
Yeah.
And so, Latoya, you wanted to chime in on that?
Oh, I was just wanting to say, I love that Sheryl, you talked about credibility and empowering. The only thing that, and this is like the whole devil advocate piece of it, the only thing that I am like kind of saddened with our current state in women entrepreneurship. I'm just going to take it there. In women entrepreneurship is the whole new empowerment series that's happening. And well, it's not new, but I'm calling it new. And it's being utilized inappropriately. And with that being said, some are not coming to empower others, they're coming to empower themselves. And then that is just taking the adrenaline of those who are watching and getting them hyped up and thinking in the moment that they're empowered, but they really aren't. They're leaving depleted. And I've had a lot of individuals that now have a negative connotation of the word empower. And so for me, it's like, we got to be careful and make sure that they realize it's a parallel system.
Yeah, it can
That
come
makes
off.
I'm trying to say, because I see you nodding your head, Christine.
Yeah, I was going to say it can come off as exclusionary and a bit gatekeepery-ish. And empowerment's not, I mean, it's not meant to be exclusionary, but it definitely has, there are elements that have made it feel exclusionary and definitely feel a bit gatekeepery-ish. And if you're not from my perception, if you don't subscribe to that model, then you're not, I don't want to say not doing it right, but there's a mindset that it's them versus us versus everyone together. And that's just my perception on it. It just feels exclusionary when it's taken to that level.
Yeah. And it's taken away from those who are genuinely wanting to help build up, women in leadership, and they're shying away.
I'll just say that
I'm trying to add something. Oh, go ahead, Anika.
I was going to say, I think the word empowered is overused. I use other words whenever possible because
it's up there with the word like extreme in marketing.
Well, it's just like empowerment means basically that you're giving us permission to do something that we should be able to do. And I don't like it. And if we're going to encourage each other, we're going to encourage each other, but we should have rights to do the things that we're trying to do. We should have equity in the things that we're trying to do. And the fact that that empowerment, I mean, if you use AI anywhere and you put women, business, women, leader, women, entrepreneurship, the word empower comes up. And so it infuriates me. So I'm taking that word off the table after Sheryl says whatever it is that she needs to say, because that word infuriates me because I am a feminist and it makes me sick and it should not exist. And it does. And it is overused. It's like, okay, we're here and we deserve to be here and we are credible and we are reliable. But let me get off my tangent. Sheryl, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you think about, when I think about empowerment, when I coach to empowerment, I'm thinking culture. Right? How are we opening up the door for a culture that says it's okay for you to throw your name in the hat? It's okay for you to sit at the table and speak up. A really quick story. My road to leadership. I started out as on the front line. I was in sales. I was the one out here in Florida in 95-degree weather, running from place to place. Okay, and I was trying to figure out, how do I get back inside? Okay, what do I need to do to get back inside? Oh, I need to be promoted. Okay, let me figure that out.
I need some AC.
And water breaks. Okay, so I started out on the front line. 4 years later, I was a regional director. I had 5 territories that I actually flew to train, to coach the team members that were on my team. 2 years later, I became a VP over 25 locations. But here's the point that I tell that story is, from being a frontline to a regional, I had to develop a voice, right? I had to develop a voice. And I find oftentimes we ask for things, but we don't speak to getting things, right? I can say, boy, I sure wish Dr. Latoya would pick me. But if Dr. Latoya doesn't know that I'm interested, right, and maybe my work is not, over the top, or she's noticed me, but yet I'm ready for the next level, I need to be able to say, hey, can I try? Right? Would you give me the opportunity? And so, I love the word empowerment. I do, because I look at it from an etymology of the word, to empower, right? To give power to. But we also have to give power to ourselves, and we can be our own worst enemy, right? But why? Because we have negative appraisals that says, I don't deserve, I don't think I can, I'm not sure if I should. Well, if I stay there, then I'm never going to get to where I want to go. And the only thing that's going to allow me to do that is if I give myself the power to say, What do I need to do to be able to raise my hand? Maybe I need to take a class. Maybe I need to get a mentor. Maybe I need to get a coach. Maybe I just need to let her know that I'm interested.
That is so true.
Yeah.
We
And
have
so
not because
what
we
I use
ask
for that is
not.
advocate, self-advocate. So I'm always telling them, advocate for yourself, advocate for yourself, pushing them, advocate for yourself. Tell them, be assertive, assert, wedge in, like you're in, there you go. And I
Elbows out. Yeah.
I'll throw a song in there in a minute. Throw your blows in there. And then come back and step back and be pretty about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did she say be pretty about it?
Be pretty about it. Yeah, let them know.
Christine said throw them bows, but Latoya said be pretty about it after the fact.
Yeah.
Just make
elbows
it
out.
sting a little bit, just a little bit, just to wake them up.
But I need to get in there, but I'm cordial.
There you go.
We're not talking about tackling people. We're just elbows out. That's all.
Elbows out.
Not headlocks, not.
Tact and
No.
some diplomacy. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. So then we got that power. There we go. Then we got that power Cheryl's talking about.
It's very true that we actually have to go to battle. And I think the word empowerment makes me angry because it's like for me, it feels like giving us permission to do something we shouldn't need permission for. And I think that's the road that I take, because it's like we're always fighting for something we should already have. And so yes, we do have to stick our elbows out, but we shouldn't have to. We should not have to ask for a seat at the table. If we are qualified, which most times women, we have more education than the rest, then we should not have to ask permission. So that's just my angry side in the nostril, the little air coming out the left nostril. But the reality of it is, Sheryl talked about, we need to have mentors. It is up to us to fill the gap, the developmental gap. If we are not where we want to be, Sheryl figured out a way to get some AC and some water. And you know what? We're like that though. If there's something that we figure out is not going to work, we're going to figure out a way to make it work. And we have to have that fight. And a lot of times we will find a solution without raising our voice. And Sheryl made a good point, is that we have to speak up, because a lot of times we're fighting harder than we have to. If we actually say what we want, we ask for help, and we give people the information that we need so that we can have support and not have to fight the battles on our own, we can get farther faster. And one example I have for that is, I've been doing this podcast 6 years. For the first 5 years, I didn't have an offer. People knew I published women's events. People knew that I promoted women. People knew that I did all this, but I didn't have a coaching package. I didn't have an offer. I was just floating around, and my husband's asking, where's the ROI, what you're doing all day long? He's a numbers guy, and he's like, wait a minute. And I was like, I'm building my credibility. That was in my mind. I had credibility as a clinician, in the field in mental health, but I did not have credibility as an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, it's up to us to build that credibility and reliability sometimes on our own. And so we have to work together so that we can do this stronger, faster. And so, Christine, I just want to ask, what did your road to leadership look like? And in that question I'm asking, I want you to give advice on how to do it better than you did it.
Okay. My road to leadership was not a straight path. I don't even know where to begin on my road to leadership. I've never really spent a lot of time thinking about my path to leadership. I know I had some bad experiences along the way. I saw other leaders, and I just epic train wrecks of leadership in some way, shape, or form, whether it was misogynistic or racist or just ageist or put the ist with it. I saw all of it. And I just didn't like the behavior, and I didn't like the culture that came with it and the environment that came with it. And it started way back when I got my first job when I was 16 years old. My first job was at a Burger King. And I saw the environment there. And don't get me wrong, it was a good first job experience. And don't get me wrong, I like a Whopper Jr. I like Burger King. But it I didn't like the environment, and it wasn't just them. There were several like jobs that I had had over the years through my teens and in college and in graduate school. I'd had jobs along the way. And then after graduate school, my first couple of corporate jobs, which I don't know if you want to call them corporate jobs, but small business jobs, working for small businesses. The environments were incredibly toxic. And the thing that I kept saying to myself all those years was, if I'm ever in a position to be a leader, I don't want to be like that. I don't want it to be like that. There has to be a better way. And I hate to sound like the ShamWow commercial, there's got to be a better way. And it was just too, like, it was emotionally draining and physically draining to work in environments like that. And I just decided I started, like, as soon as I had the chance, I read every book that I could about leadership, management tactics, approach, process. And some of the books that were out there are antiquated and just really speak to an authoritarian mindset. Like at the time when I was first picking up books and looking at leadership books. And I did get a mentor. I didn't know what a mentor was. I thought it was, I didn't know what to think about the whole concept. Someone was telling me while I was working for another firm, they're like, you need a mentor. And I'm like, why do I need a mentor? I can't possibly what do I need mentoring on? I know how to do my job. Like I knew how to do my job. Well, there's doing your job and working in your role, but then there's the other aspects of like leadership and refining those skills and growing them and evolving them. And it took a really long time for the light to go on for me, because again, I go back to the theme of you don't know what you don't know. No amount of formal education is going to change that. You need to almost have someone pull you aside and say, look, stop doing this, go get this, do that, and you'll have a straight path. And as I'm fighting allergies here, I'm sorry. It is lilac season in Buffalo, New York, and all the lilacs are out, and it's pure allergies. But if someone wants to do it, faster, better, more efficient than I did, yeah, go get a mentor. And I would ask that you get covert mentors. And the reason I say covert mentors, they don't know they're your mentor. You find someone in your industry or in the business community or whatever community that you're focused on, and look at what they're doing right and what they could improve, and think about, can I do it better or just as good as what they're doing? And if you're at their standard, then go find another covert mentor and just keep leveling up. I've had 3 or 4 people in my life that they didn't know they were my mentor, but I watched what they did. I watched how they conducted themselves. I watched how they're present. I watched how they empowered others. I watched and observed, like the true anthropologist that I am, and absorbed all of it. And I would recommend, not only do you need a mentor that knows they're your mentor, there's that, but you need some covert mentors, or what I would call incognito mentors, and look at what they're doing and what they're not doing and how they're conducting themselves. And not that I'm saying model what they're doing, but take notes. What works, what doesn't, what fits you. And it's okay to have multiple mentors. And I would encourage, yes, read books, find leadership books, but know that not all of them are going to be good, useful, or helpful. Some of them are going to have one piece of nugget of information that is just going to be life-changing. It'll be great. And then there are others that are going to be like, why did I pick up that book? And that's okay. But those are the things I would recommend to do it faster and better. Don't wait for your like life-changing moments to happen. Take control over it, get a mentor, have multiple mentors if you need them, have covert mentors, have multiple ones if you need them. They won't always be your mentor. You can find others. Like what serves as a mentor right now may not be a mentor tomorrow. And that's okay. They're going to evolve and grow and come in and out of your life. Nothing's going to be stagnant at all. So know that it's going to be fluctuating. And, I wish somebody had told me that early on, like, here's what you need to do. Yes, read, but not just that one book isn't going to be the gold standard. You're going to be reading lots of things. You're going to have lots of mentors. You're going to get lots of advice. Some of it's going to be great. Some of it's going to be garbage, but you have to be able to pick and choose. And probably the number one thing I would say is trust your gut. If something's not right or feels off, it is. Don't second guess yourself. You can say why. You can try to figure out, well, why is it off? That's okay. But don't say, no, I'm wrong. No, you're not. Your gut's telling you something for a reason. Trust it. And there were so many times in my early career that I didn't trust my gut, and I should have. There are so many scenarios where I should have been like, this doesn't seem right. Something's off here. And I should have listened to that, and I didn't. So I'll stop there. I can keep going.
No, I appreciate that because I talk about intuition all the time. Intuition is our safety net. And anytime that we disregard our intuition, we get into trouble. So no, I appreciate that. And the books, yep, you're absolutely right. Books, they may be good, they may be bad. I'll tell you who wrote most of them, but no, knowledge is power. And we, like I said, we have to use self-development a lot of times. So I appreciate that. And most of our journeys are non-linear. So listen to us. We know what we're talking about. I'm going to go over to Dr. Latoya, your developmental path, your leadership pathway. What did it look like and what tips do you have for our listeners?
So, well, I started at a young age as well, 14, working Winn-Dixie, bagging, and doing what Sheryl said, learning how to ask at an early age what I need, even though it was kind of underhanded, but I asked for what I needed. I wasn't going to handle being out in the sun getting carts. And I was like, this is for the birds. I don't do the sun well. I don't know quite why, but I don't. And this is not going to work. I think I'm going to have my mama to take me to this doctor, and we're going to figure out a way to get a doctor's note. And that's what I did. And from here on out, I was inside just bagging up some groceries. And nobody could tell me to go outside to get a cart. And that's where I first learned the power of asking for what you want, literally. So yeah. And so I started taking notes early about the things that worked and things that didn't work. Doing some of what Christine talked about, looking at things that I liked and didn't like, and taking note of, I don't think I like that. I'm not gonna do that anymore. My journey with leadership and some of the things that I did not like and decided I wasn't going to do. Fortunately, most of those individuals initially were men. And the thing about it was kind of quaint, was like they would see in me what the potential I had and would utilize it. And I naturally would just do those things. Like I would just train people coming in just because I just love to teach people, or I would just go and help them start up something new because I just wanted to learn everybody's job, literally. Like I didn't want anybody's job. I just wanted to learn everybody's job so I can know how to talk to everybody and understand what they were talking about. And I learned those things and those skills would help. So then when other people come in, I would teach them the same thing that had been helping me. And so that was something that stuck with me of like, you don't hoard information. So, because what if one part of the machine fails? How are we going to keep this machine working if that one part of the machine is the only part that knows how to do that part? That's not going to work. Everybody kind of needs to know how to help each other out. And so it's just like, as I was getting older and as I was doing multiple jobs, I would take those things that I'm realizing could work and they could have done better. And, or I would even operate under doing things like for free when I, just to demonstrate to some of the leaders above me, like, hey, don't you see why I was trying to tell you like this would work? Whether they took it or not, I just wanted to show like, hey, and I don't know if subconsciously I was showing myself as well. So I would know later, but I would just do it. Um, but I have had, some horrible experiences that really, really let me know like this is not how you treat people. I mean, I've had leaders that have literally from one end of the building to another end of the building, like cuss me out, literally in front of everyone. And I had to choose how I was going to handle that situation and be the bigger person. And I wasn't even the person in leadership. But it was like, I realized every time that I chose how to handle something, like not even a month later, I was in a leadership position. And I kept realizing, dang, every time I respond a certain way, somebody saw me and said, and it allowed me to go to a leadership position. So I just started just keeping track of those kind of things. And so those are the things that I keep telling like my students and things of that nature in regards to, again, like advocating for themselves, making sure that you're, learning other people's jobs so that you can help other people or communicate well with other people in leadership. And also when it comes to learning other people's jobs, as far as leadership goes, Christine made me think about something that I stand firm on when it comes to like mentorship. I stand very firm on mentoring in other people, and that this is like you should seek out to mentor other people, not just only seek out to get your own mentorship. You should seek out to mentor other people. And I say that to say, I seen like a meme the other day, and someone posted a woman walking, and it was like, you don't know what I go through because you've never walked in my own shoes. And it just bothered me, and it kept bothering me, and kept bothering me. And I wanted to post about it, never could. And I realize now is because I needed to say it here. The lady had on dress shoes. Well, nobody can know how to tie up your shoes. You don't even have laces in your shoes. Like you can't make an assumption without wanting to learn from someone else. You can't make an assumption without wanting to teach someone else. It's kind of the point that just kept running in my head of how many times we don't want to mentor other people and we don't want other people to come to us for mentorship. We don't want to share information. And so that's my big thing with leadership is sharing information and helping each other.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, Sheryl, we know about your transition from outside to inside, but tell us about your journey through leadership and your tips for listeners.
I'll tell you, so I shared the journey that I have for leadership. I won't go back to when I started working at Burger King, because we all have that same familiar, that I think everybody kind of
That first job.
fast food.
Mine was Kmart before it turned Big K, and 30 days later I got fired because they wasn't ready for the big. So I got laid off on my first one.
Right, we've all had those firsts. I think three tips that I will say that had I known, and I was a fast tracker, but had I known, it would have made it a lot easier transitioning. And the first thing is building alliances, right? Being able to build alliances, because one of the things that I realized is if you want your name to go into rooms that you're not in, you have to have supporters. So your social engineering needs to be one that says, hey, I'm approachable. Pick me, let me, be a part of the conversation, or even ask questions seeking curiosity, because that gives you an opportunity of saying, I want to learn more. So I think building alliances was number one, if I had the opportunity of being able to do that better. because I didn't really understand the impact it would have later down the line. The second thing was, and I wrote this down, is, and Dr. Latoya started to talk about assumptions, right? Let us not make assumptions. Because when we make assumptions, we have a tendency to take ourselves right out of the picture, because I'm going to assume they don't want me. I'm going to assume I don't have the background. I'm going to assume, so guess what? I'm not even going to try. And so when you have thoughts like that, and I realized when I had thoughts like that, it stopped conversation because there was nothing to communicate about, because I already had the answers. It's not going to be me, so why would I talk to you about something when I already know the answer? So I would say, let us not assume, because that negates conversation. And then I'll finish with, this was the title of my first book, is Learning How to Silence the Chatter. When we can silence the chatter, we have clarity. We have the ability to be able to make the choices that Dr. Latoya was talking about. Do I know what I want? Well, I can't make those choices if I got all this stuff going on in my head because of information that I'm getting from YouTube and this workshop and this coach and this podcast. And at some point you have to stop and take inventory of the information that I am digesting. How can I put something into play? Right? Because I think somebody talked about it earlier, right? You leave these conferences with these amazing individuals and you're so motivated and you are hyped. And then you get in your car and you go back to your world. You go back to your cubicle, you go back to your environment. And that person that was hyping you up, they're going on to another city. And here you are with this notebook filled with information that you can't figure out. How do I implement? Because if we're not implementing, then we're not growing. So we have to silence the chatter. And when I first started my business, I had to learn that, because you had so many people saying, do you know the statistics? Oh my goodness, you're a female in business. And you get a new dog and they go, congratulations. You get married, they go, congratulations. You go, I just started my business. They go, ouch, really? Ooh, wow. Wonder why you chose that. So we have to be able to wake up in the morning, have a morning routine that prepares me for when I leave my house, right? I believe in faith, so I have to put on my armor before I leave the house. There you go, Anika, right? I got to armor up because it's a jungle out there. You're going to meet people that just say no. You're going to take it personal because we're emotional. We're just human beings. That's just the way it is. But I only get 24 hours to stay in that position. Then I got to come up with a game plan. But
you got to get that pity party a time limit.
There you go. But we have to have that feeling. We have to go through that, or else we repress it and it shows up in other places that doesn't serve us well. So those are the three things that I had to think about. And what I do now in leadership, given my choice, is new leaders. I love new leaders because when I was a new leader, I didn't get leadership training until I was in the role for about 18 months. And obviously, you all know what I'm talking about.
All of us just were like, if you can't see this, all of us.
I have to stay on mute.
In agreement.
Because I'm over here shouting.
But
that's
preach.
Like, yeah.
Every time somebody talks to me, they're like, so when am I going to learn how to do this? I'm like, don't know.
I got leadership training when I went for my PhD because I never got it anywhere else. And what none of y'all said was education. I asked the question of what was your nonlinear path like, because a lot of us chase certifications because we feel like we're not good enough. And we're not invested in when we work for these jobs. Everybody else gets the leadership development. They invest in all the other people and they don't see us as top talent. And we're dedicated and we're resilient and we're all those things. And we wind up having to go out here and buy all of these resources and buy these books and enlist in this course and get a mentor and get a coach. We got to do all these things because we think we're not good enough to lead. And the reality of it is, it's consistency, it is persistence, and it is voice. And it's also what she said of focus, because the world, it's overwhelming that you can get any resource at the click of a button. We always think we got to get this, we need this resource, we need this, we got to get this coaching program, we got to get this, oh no, this one, and then we're comparing the two of, well, she said do it this way, but she said do it this way, but he said do it this way, and then we're paralyzed. We're not doing anything. And she said implementation, and she needs to stop yelling at me. I've been developing my coaching program 6 years. I tell everybody, and Toya told me the other day, put it out. Quit playing, stop changing it, leave it alone. Where's that book? You know, and the reality, it's implementation, and it's white noise, and it's focus. And we are enough. We are all leaders. We are all responsible, and we are all powerful. Your voice is your power, resistance, resilience, and community. And that is what I got out of what everyone said. And feedback. Christine said something about something earlier, and the word that came to me was feedback. When she talked about mentorship, that's what a lot of us are lacking a lot of times, is feedback. So, you know, how to do it better and all of that. So out of all of that, I want to be conscious of everyone's time, because we could talk about leadership for days, years, months, whatever. But I'm going to go to each of y'all and tell you to tell listeners how and where to find you. I'll make sure to put the descriptions in all the contact info. But real quickly, Sheryl, go ahead, tell listeners where to find you.
Absolutely. I am on social media, but predominantly I am on LinkedIn at Sheryl Mays, and then my YouTube channel. I always have customer service training tips on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and go to the Sheryl Mays. Those are the two places to find me. And then go to my website. You'll find everything. I don't have multiple landing pages. You go into one place where you have everything.
Stop talking about those of us that got 12 domains, Sheryl. Somebody posted it today and was like, I got 15. How many of you guys? I was like, I got 12. I got to stop. I got to leave it alone. I got to leave it alone. I got to leave it alone. Okay. All right, Latoya, tell everyone where to find you.
Well, currently, LinkedIn would be the spot. That's consistent. LinkedIn, and I am actually, because we want to make sure you don't go to the wrong Latoya Waddell. So it's going to be Latoya Chevelle Smith Waddell, PhD, and all the rest of the elemental C's after that we unfortunately have to have. And then also you can go on Psychology Today and find me on Psychology Today, which will have links to other places that you can find me until the website gets up, so that Sheryl won't talk about all my domains.
All right, over to Christine. Tell listeners where to find you.
You can find me anywhere. You can find Christine E.B. Howard. You can Google Christine E.B. Howard. I am well branded. You can find me LinkedIn, and of course my company's website, ebhoward.com. But yeah, predominantly on LinkedIn, but any socials, you can find me as Christine E.B. Howard, or you can find me at ebhoward.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I want to thank each of you ladies for being here. I so appreciate everything that you do, your past, your journeys, and I have a feeling I will see you again. Listeners, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Your Voice, Your Power with Anika, and always stay powerful.